The Lost Geographer Podcast, Episode 6.
We're living in an increasingly globalized society now, and it's not going to change anytime soon. The coffee you drink comes from beans originally grown in South America. The watch you wear was made in Switzerland. The car you use to drive to work is sold by a Japanese automobile manufacturer. Despite this rapid globalization, many people are still unaware of what is going on around them, and this needs to change. This is the Lost Geographer Podcast, where you will become geographically and culturally literate and learn the tools necessary to navigate this new global society. It's your world. Own it. Own it.
Do you want the most out of your next vacation? Why wouldn't you? You spend so much money already on it, and you don't want to come home empty-handed like so many people do, with regrets and wishing they had enjoyed their time more and been present during the experience rather than thinking about the next place that they were going and not enjoying the attraction that was in front of them. Here at The Lost Geographer, we have a personalized vacation guide service where we make it all about you. We base it upon your interests, your hobbies, and what you want out of your vacation. We tailor it to you and your party. If you're interested in making the most out of your next vacation, visit www.thelostgeographer.net/personalized-vacation-guides. All right, everybody, welcome to the Lost Geographer Podcast, where our goal is to promote geographic and cultural literacy. It's your world, own it. I am your host, Rohit Amrithar, founder of The Lost Geographer. You can find us at www.thelostgeographer.net. And this week, we're going to have something different. So the last several weeks, we've had people from their country talk about their countries. But like I said in the first episode, we're going to try and bring in people who have traveled frequently and kind of talk about their lessons to try and get others to travel. So traveling is a great form of personal growth. And many people will give it lip service, I feel like, but they won't actually go out and travel. And they're missing out on so much in terms of growth, what they can learn, and just amazing experiences. Or they travel and they don't travel the right way. So I'm here with Jesse Ortiz. He is the founder of the Lifestyle Conversations podcast, and he is here with me today to talk about travel and how that has influenced his lifestyle. How are you doing, Jesse?
Hey, how you doing, Rohit?
Good.
Thanks
man.
for having me on, man.
Absolutely. A pleasure. So we'll go ahead and start every episode like we do. So tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of where you've traveled, where you've been, and what you're doing with travel.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, so glad to be on here and share my story. So my name is Jesse Ortiz. I am founder and host at the Lifestyle Conversations podcast. And I have some of the typical stories around the people or entrepreneurs that discover travel. I was a former corporate zombie for about 10 years. And so until about 2 months ago, I was recently laid off from the oil and gas industry, which has been kind of a roller coaster ride lately. But throughout that journey and while I was in corporate, I was always into entrepreneurship and always very ambitious and trying new things. But along that journey, I discovered the whole lifestyle thing, which was I was kind of inspired by the 4-Hour Workweek book. And that's kind of where I took it and just combined all my entrepreneurial experiences and wanted to pursue my passion for being a lifestyle entrepreneur. So I'm also a father of 4 kids, so real busy dad, and also a podcaster and influencer at the same time.
That's awesome. Yeah. So why don't you talk to us a little bit about your travels?
Right now, and as you mentioned, I heard on your introduction, like the right way to travel. I know, the average person is like, well, I didn't know there was a right way to travel. And I guess what we don't realize sometimes is, and especially as I mentioned, when you're stuck in the corporate world, you do it more as a way to suppress because you're so depressed and you're not really conscious of like the experiences, and the just the beauty of traveling. And so that's a lot of what I realized now as I continue on my personal growth journey. So as far as my geographical travel, I've done travel to my origin country, which is Mexico, and of course we have very beautiful beaches with the Caribbean and everything. But aside from that, most of my I guess you could call it conscious travel has been just out of my state, and that has been with like attending personal development seminars. I just recently went to San Diego for the first time, surprisingly, and it was beautiful. It was like almost like visiting another country. I mean, I just noticed everything. Of course, the beautiful weather out there, the water, the trees, just my surroundings. It was just there was just so much more freedom to it, and also, I've been doing a lot more travel. Just even with I'm in Houston, Texas, and we have a lot of beautiful hiking trails and beautiful parks that we can go to, even locally. But so far, right now, I've realized that you really need to just simply get out of your house, man. Get out of your neighborhood. And I know there's probably a mix of audience, maybe some that have been well traveled, and maybe some who haven't got out there yet. So as I mentioned, I have 4 kids, so it's kind of hard for me to do it Tim Ferriss style, where I can live in Thailand for, a couple months, couple years. But I do have my bucket list now of places, my geographical map, places that I want to travel to now. But if finances or responsibilities are kind of a factor for you, I do recommend, just get out of your neighborhood, get out of your state to begin with, and you'll be amazed at the experiences and the just the consciousness and that you get out of doing some of those activities.
I think you bring up a really good point, is that traveling doesn't necessarily need to be, go to the other side of the world, although that's great.
Mm-hmm.
It's beyond the means of certain people. And if you're one of those people, then yeah, I completely agree. Just go to another state. For example, I'm originally from Virginia, and moving to Western Pennsylvania for school was a little strange for me. I was completely shocked by the culture there, because kind of where I'm from, it's very, very competitive. And there, everyone's a little bit more relaxed, it seems. And yeah, I think that although I have done my fair share of world traveling, I never really thought about it from that perspective, that you can just step outside. So you brings up a good point. Just go somewhere that you haven't been before, and you'd be surprised to know what you find. Even if you go 30 minutes outside of your town, you'd be surprised that you might, if you live in the rural area, you might check out a near city and realize that that's a different area. Or if you're in an urban area, just check out the rural areas and it's completely different. So I like that a lot. So for those of you who have more responsibilities than others, or who aren't who have financial constraints, I definitely just recommend getting out of the house, like you said. So Jesse, what would you say has travel taught you?
Right now is so far what I've learned is, as I was mentioning, I guess I'm at the beginning of my travel experiences, but I just so far I've realized that the world really is your oyster. It's like, once, as I mentioned, just with the domestic experiences I've had so far, I just noticed that, man, there's a whole other world out there. I was in corporate, 10 years in the oil and gas industry, and I saw how a lot of people really took it hard when they got laid off. I mean, they had dedicated, same as me, 10 years of their life or more, 20 plus years. And you get confined like into this small world, and you think this is all there is. It's like even as far as job market, you think oil and gas is all there is. There is a whole world of opportunities out there. You just got to get out there and experience it, man. And as we mentioned, I think when we talked about doing this interview, travel so far has taught me that it is a form of personal development. It does kind of like wake you up from the routine and just the daily responsibilities that we get caught up with. It's called life for a reason. So it's recommended that I recommend personally so far from my experiences that you get out and do some type of travel, even if it is within your state or your city.
Got it. So as most people are aware, Americans, were you born in America or were you born in Mexico?
Yes, I was born and raised here in America.
Okay, yeah. So
Houston.
as most people are aware, Americans are notoriously bad at geography. So would you say that traveling helped you understand geography a little bit better?
Yes, and it's definitely a learning process. Like I mentioned, when you get stuck in your in your neighborhoods so long, and we get caught up with the Western lifestyle. Yeah, I'm learning that there is a whole world out there to be discovered. But yeah, I still got a long way to go. I mean, you're right about that because I mean, like say right now, so far what I got on my bucket list, and that's just because we see it on TV or something, is the seven wonders of the world.
Hmm.
I mean, that's about as far as my geographical knowledge goes right now.
Right. Yeah, and I know a lot of people again will give lip service to geography and say,
Uh huh.
I don't know geography. I wish I knew more, but they won't actually go out of their way to do it. So
Hmm.
I think this is great. While traveling, you can get a lot of experience, but you kind of expand your mental map, we can call it,
Yes,
so that you
definitely.
have a better understanding of where you are in the world. Because,
Hmm.
I think it's kind of strange that a lot of people just go through life not knowing exactly where they are in the world when pretty much everything you do is governed by the concept of space.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, yeah, I think this is cool. And
Yeah,
so,
exactly. And I like right now with my podcasting journey, I mean, I've been challenged to bring my my geography, skills back to life with dealing with time zones, and I'll tell somebody, hey, I'll talk to you at this time, and it's like it's like that's like 3 a.m. over here, and that's so yeah,
yeah, I think you're what, 7 hours behind me right now? I'm in
yes,
Germany. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
Call. So, what would you say has been your most impactful travel story, or not? Just it doesn't always have to be impactful, but what would you say is your best travel story?
Right now, the one that has resonated lately has been to San Diego. Just because it was combined, as I mentioned, with some personal development. And I guess it all kind of came, not just because it happened recently, but I guess it was kind of like the perfect storm and the perfect wake up call because it was I think a month after I got laid off, and after I was already contemplating years back, for me to finally quit. And this is kind of like, the stuff that's covered in that 4 Hour Work Week book that I mentioned by Tim Ferriss. And I could never really get myself to do it, but I was taking steps towards towards I can finally leave my job and pursue my passion or what have you. And then all of a sudden it happens. I get laid off, and it's like, oh, what now? So I saw this opportunity to attend that event, and then of all places, San Diego, which everybody will hear great things about that, and just the excitement of getting on that plane and getting out of my city, and of course I had to arrange for my kids to be taken care of over that weekend and everything, but I arranged it and I did it, and it was just it was a perfect wake up call. Like I said, while I was there, I was just I felt I felt free. For once, it was so exciting to be in a new city and got to talk to people outside of my neighborhood. And even at the event, I learned a lot from people that were actually moving from one city to another. So I just pictured that scenario. It's like, wow, what would it be like if you just sold and packed all your things to move to another city? And it can be a scary thought, but I mean, it really can be, a new beginning. So that's been pretty impactful right now for me, that experience so far.
Yeah, and I mean, I went to the same retreat too in San Diego, and I just remember
Okay.
I kind of wanted to always go to San Diego. I always wanted an excuse to go, and that retreat was the perfect excuse to go. And I just remember, I always talk about traveling abroad and how great it is, and it is, but I never thought that this trip to San Diego would have been as amazing as it was.
Hmm.
It definitely did open my eyes to kind of another way of life as well. So,
Yes.
yeah, I'm really
Yeah.
glad that you brought
Yeah. And
this
it's,
topic up about domestic travel also working out in your way, because people are different, and geography of place, each country has different geographical features, and the geography does influence the culture of the place. So I definitely
yes.
think
Yes.
that's great.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, you invested a lot more a lot more time, a lot more money into doing this retreat, but you did it, but you don't, if you're not there financially or due to responsibilities, you can start small. I mean, you'll still get that experience, like you said, and it's so awesome once you start doing it.
Yeah. So for all of you who are making some excuse such as, I don't have enough money, or I don't know where to go, there's no way I could go there, just start out small. You have no excuse to not check out an area that's different. Just take a step outside of your comfort zone. Go somewhere that you haven't experienced before, even if it's close by. It doesn't have to be across an ocean or anything. So yeah, I'm glad you brought this up. And this is definitely a good talking point for the listeners, because when people think travel, the first thing that comes to their mind, travel and entrepreneurship, first thing that comes to their mind is like the Tim Ferriss lifestyle, sitting on the beach in Thailand, just working away. They don't really see other ways of traveling, other modes of traveling where you can just kind of just check out a new place different. So I really like that. But all right. Yeah. So Jesse, thanks a lot for being on the show. And so that the audience can check out your podcast about lifestyle, would you mind sharing with the audience the name of your podcast and how we can get a hold of you? And I'll put this information all in the show notes on my website, www.thelostgeographer.net.
Yeah, for sure, Rohit. I appreciate that. So I try to just simplify it. Everything can pretty much be found at lifestyleconversations.com. Each episode of my podcast should have a link to iTunes and Stitcher. And I just want to leave everybody with the encouragement that we did to not just get out and travel, but also to go ahead and grab that 4-Hour Workweek book. And mostly everybody out there who is into travel has probably read this book, but it's one that needs to be revisited. And I think it was released back in, do you recall, Rohit, maybe 2005 or something like that?
Yeah, but he's made multiple editions of it since.
Yeah. So there's a couple things that might be a bit outdated, but there's really good lessons on the simplicity and why you're doing this whole travel thing. So definitely a book to be revisited and restudied. And I just want to leave everybody with the encouragement of being a lifestyle entrepreneur. And all that really is just an individual that creates a business with purpose of, like, just altering their lifestyle and doing, the things they love. You're an entrepreneur that's focusing more on life rewards and just, I guess, the quote unquote simple things in life more than just the profits. So and doing travel is gonna bring that awareness to you, and it's gonna resonate with, if, like, say, we also struggle a lot with finding our passion and what we want to do and this and that. That's a lot of what travel will do for you. So if you're lost, and I like the title of your podcast says, The Lost Geographer, it's okay to get lost, man. You're going to find a lot of things. Being lost is actually sometimes a good thing. That will actually help you find what you're looking for, whether it's in yourself, relationships, careers. It's not a perfect road, so it's okay to be lost, and just want to leave everybody with that.
Awesome. Yeah. So a couple things on that. First of all, I like the whole discussion on being lost. When I visit a new place, I get quote unquote lost. I still kind of know where I am, but I just kind of go out into wherever I am and just explore. I feel like you get the most gratification out of that because you're just aware.
Yeah.
You're present. But second of all, so he keeps on referring to the 4-Hour Workweek. For those of you who don't know, the 4-Hour Workweek is a book written by Tim Ferriss, who is a lifestyle entrepreneur, and it's all about just freeing up your life so that you can do what you love. And he doesn't necessarily only promote entrepreneurship. Yeah, that's a huge part of it, but he definitely says that you can definitely work it into your corporate life by asking to work remotely or something like that. So yeah, I'll definitely put a link to that in your show notes. So awesome, Jesse. Yeah, yes. Thanks for being on the show again. And to the audience, stay tuned for our episode next week for the Lost Geographer podcast. And until then, it's your world. Own it.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Lost Geographer podcast. Remember to tune in next week for more awesome content.